Takemichi heard the news of a Tokyo Manji gang fight that killed Naoto and Hinata, his middle school girlfriend. After being framed for scratching a car by kids, he lamented his life at the train station before someone pushed him onto the tracks. As the train neared, he remembered Hinata. Takemichi woke up 12 years ago, back in middle school with his old friends. Realizing it was July 4, 2005, they planned to fight Shibuya's second year, relying on his cousin Masaru's gang status for protection. However, they found only the first and third years. Masataka Kiyomizu's gang confronted them, revealing Masaru was just an errand boy. Takemichi's group was beaten and forced into the Tokyo Manji gang, marking the start of his miserable days. Takemichi visited Hinata, who scolded him for fighting, but he left crying. He later helped a boy, Naoto Tachibana, Hinata's brother, and warned him about their deaths in 2017. Takemichi woke on July 4, 2017, when Naoto revealed that Takemichi had saved him but not Hinata and asked for his help to save her. Takemichi agreed to help save Hinata. Naoto explained that Takemichi could travel 12 years into the past and share secret intel on the Tokyo Manji gang, revealing his predecessor's death while undercover. Takemichi's mission was to stop Manjiro Sano and Tada Kisaki from meeting. A handshake triggered Takemichi's time travel. Takemichi woke up in a fight club beaten by Masataka Kiyomizu's gang. After recalling his past, he mentioned Manjiro's name, angering Masataka, who warned Takemichi never to repeat it. Takemichi was unsure if he could meet his goal. Takemichi, scared, shook Naoto's hand again but met Hinata, who was worried about his injuries. Takemichi called her Hina, making her blush. He realized he couldn't let her die despite not having seen her for years. The next day, Takemichi's friends gathered for another fight. Takuya was set to fight but was fragile and Akon wanted to take his place, though Masataka refused. Takemichi reflected on how much his friends cared for each other. During the fight, Takemichi interrupted, bored by their repetitive matches, and challenged Masataka to a fight instead. Takemichi challenged Masataka to a fight, refusing to back down despite being outmatched. Atsushi considered stabbing Masataka, but the crowd lost support for him. When Manjiro Sano and Ken Ryuguchi from the Tokyo Manji gang arrived, Manjiro made Takemichi his friend and beat up Masataka for running the fight club, warning him not to tarnish the gang's reputation. Takemichi felt relieved when Atsushi thanked him for freeing them from their past. The next day, Hinata invited him on a date. At school, Manjiro showed up with beaten third years, trying to recruit Takemichi. When Hinata misunderstood and slapped Manjiro, Takemichi demanded they leave her alone. Manjiro teased him but assured him he wouldn't hurt a girl, while Ken praised Takemichi for standing up for Hinata. Hinata apologized to Manjiro, allowing Takemichi to go with his friends. While riding bikes, Takemichi reflected on what changed the Tokyo Manji gang and spotted a familiar group of guys. On the train, Hinata scolded some students for taking too many seats and invited Takemichi to study. Takemichi, excited to be in a girl's room, thanked her for helping Naoto, who now aspired to be a police officer like him. Hinata said Takemichi seemed more mature and wanted to know him better. They watched fireworks on the roof, and Takemichi, not wanting to return to the future without her, reached for her hand but grabbed Naoto's instead, snapping back to the present. Takemichi woke up crying. Naoto realized Takemichi's time travel worked with his body and suspended animation for a week. Takemichi mentioned meeting Manjiro Sano and Naoto wondered why he hadn't killed him. Takemichi suggested visiting Manjiro to understand Tomen's change. They found Atsushi in Tomen's upper ranks and arranged a meeting at his bar. At the bar, Atsushi revealed he pushed Takemichi onto the tracks, but Naoto saved him. He confessed he was a soldier of Tada Kisaki and explained that Manjiro changed after Ken Ryuguchi's death. After confessing, Atsushi jumped to his death, leaving Takemichi in tears. Tada Kisaki listened from across the rooftop. Takemichi told Naoto to investigate Ken's death, believing Kisaki turned Tomen evil, and vowed to save everyone. Takemichi was fired for disappearing, and Hasegawa said his payment would be deposited soon. He considered telling Hinata about the future, but Naoto warned against it. With Atsushi dead, they needed to go back in time. Naoto gave Takemichi the mission to save Ken, which would also save Hinata and Atsushi. Takemichi woke up in a karaoke room with a half-naked girl, realizing his past life had changed. Hinata noticed his distance and Ken called him to meet at Musashi Shrine. Hinata decided to go with him. On the way, Hinata said spending time together mattered to her, and Takemichi realized saving her was his goal. Bikers tried to chase him away at the shrine, but Takemichi explained he was invited. Takashi Mitsuya took him to Manjiro, who was happy to see him. Ken warned Takemichi about bringing Hinata and told Emma to protect her. Takemichi realized Emma was the girl from karaoke. At the Tomen meeting, Manjiro declared they would crush Mobius during the Musashi festival. Takemichi reflected on Ken's death and tried to be his bodyguard, but was declined. Ken later took Manjiro to visit Pachin's friend's girlfriend in the hospital and advised Manjiro to care for others. Takemichi understood why Manjiro changed after Ken's death. Ken Ryuji, raised in a Shibuya brothel, became tall and intimidating and called himself Draken. After losing to the Samiyama crew, they ordered him to bring Mikey from 7th Middle School. Excited, Ken searched for Mikey. Ken found Mikey, who agreed to go with him. Mikey easily beat Samiyama and then wanted to be friends with Ken. Takemichi asked Naoto to track Nobitaka Osane. They found him at a construction site where he denied ordering Ken's death. Nobitaka revealed Ken wasn't killed, but the incident sparked Tomen's internal conflicts which someone planned. He left, saying Ken's death would have ruined his life. Takemichi returned to warn Mikey. Takemichi woke up with Atsushi, who shared his dream of becoming a hairstylist, and Takemichi supported him. He then met Manjiro, Ken, Pachin, and Pian, urging Manjiro to cancel the fight with Mobius. Pachin hit him, but Manjiro decided to proceed. Nobitaka arrived, mocked them, and announced Mobius was coming. Mobius surrounded Toman. Takemichi was shocked when Nobitaka struck him. Pachin intervened but was quickly defeated. Manjiro knocked Nobitaka out and challenged Mobius, declaring no one in Tomen would lose. Nobitaka charged at Ken, but Ken stopped him, claiming he had broken the delinquent code. Ken announced that Mobius was now part of Tomen. As the police approached, everyone fled. Takemichi reflected on the chaos and then witnessed Pachin stab Nobitaka. He apologized and planned to turn himself in. Takemichi lost consciousness. Takemichi woke up in the hospital. Emma explained that Tomen was divided and Hinata arrived, misunderstanding the situation. At home, Takemichi completed a puzzle. His friends visited, saying Toman was splitting, but joked about Ken and Manjiro's fights. Ken showed up with watermelon, announcing Pachin's 1-year sentence and that Nobitaka was still alive. Takemichi asked about Manjiro, angering Ken, who ruined the puzzle and left. Outside, Ken and Manjiro argued. Takemichi tried to stop them, but they broke his things. He finally snapped and demanded they stop. Takemichi yelled at Manjiro and Ken for breaking his things. They apologized, and Takemichi explained that their fight would split Tomen. Manjiro pointed out Takemichi's messy hair before running off with Ken. After washing up, Takemichi joined them and they apologized. Takemichi realized the fight was about Pachin. Takemichi realized that by changing history, Ken wouldn't die. Hinata invited him to the festival where he missed winning her a prize. When it rained, Takemichi caught Hinata as she stumbled and she forgave him. Takemichi tried to kiss her, but his phone rang. Kazushi warned Ken was still in danger, and Takemichi realized the conflict wasn't over. Takemichi found Masataka, who planned to kill Ken. After being beaten and tied up, Takemichi felt worthless. Hinata found him, kissed him, and told him he was special. Takemichi decided to stop Masataka and warn Takashi, preventing Tomen from splitting. Meanwhile, Pian found Ken and Emma. Takashi explained that Pian, believing Toman abandoned Pachin, teamed up with Mobius to target Ken. Ken was attacked, and Takemichi recalled Naoto's words, heading to the parking lot. They found Ken fighting, and Manjiro arrived, realizing he had been tricked. Shuji Hama, Mobius' temporary leader, revealed their plan to destroy Tomen and kill Manjiro. He called 100 Mobius members, threatening to beat any who fled. Takemichi realized a new conflict had begun. As Mobius prepared for a fight, Tomen arrived. Takemichi looked for Ken to protect him from Masataka. Manjiro asked Pian why he attacked Ken, with Pian angry over Toman abandoning Pachin. Despite knowing Manjiro could easily defeat him, Pian kept fighting. Manjiro didn't want to fight his family and asked Pian to return. Takemichi found Masataka with a bloody blade and saw Ken bleeding on the ground. Takemichi found Ken stabbed and immediately informed Manjiro. Shuji Hama blocked Manjiro from reaching Ken, prompting Manjiro to tell Takemichi to take care of him. Takemichi carried the still-living Ken to the hospital, and Hinata and Emma called an ambulance. While waiting, Takemichi saw Masataka and his gang approaching. Ken woke up and urged Takemichi to run, but Takemichi refused and confronted Masataka, vowing revenge and reminding him they hadn't finished their fight. Masataka stabbed Takemichi in the arm, but Takemichi fought back, tackling and choking Masataka until he lost consciousness. Masataka's gang prepared to attack, but Takemichi urged Hinata and Emma to run. Ken, standing, said he was going to hell. As the gang attacked, Atsushi, Makoto, Takuya, and Kazushi arrived to protect them, and despite being beaten, they fought on, inspired by Takemichi. The sound of an ambulance signaled their victory. After Masataka's gang fled, Tomen triumphed over Mobius, though Manjiro and Shuji continued their fight. Shuji announced the formation of Valhalla, a new biker gang. In the ambulance, Ken thanked Takemichi but suffered cardiac arrest. After surgery, Ken survived and the group celebrated. Takemichi learned from Takashi about Ken's dedication to Pachin and P and apologized. Takemichi realized his mission had succeeded when Ken survived past August 3rd. On August 10th, Takemichi enjoyed his newfound fame, but Ken scolded him for his behavior, sparking Takemichi's newfound confidence. Ken gave him Tomen's uniform, thanking him for saving the gang. Takemichi later visited Manjiro, who reflected on the conflict and showed curiosity about Takemichi's role. Takemichi returned to the present and found himself working at the video store. He visited Atsushi at a salon where they were excited about his first client. Takemichi then received a call from Naoto confirming he changed the present and that they planned to meet Hinata. Takemichi rode with Naoto, reflecting on Hinata's death. Naoto revealed that the Tomen dispute would never occur again and expressed surprise at Takemichi's success. At Hinata's apartment, Takemichi wondered if she had changed, with Naoto explaining she was now an adult and a teacher. Takemichi, nervous, asked Naoto to visit her alone since they were now strangers. He convinced himself that wishing her a good life was enough, but he still felt like a failure. When Takemichi bumped into Hinata, he teared up, recalling how she motivated him. The atmosphere at her apartment was awkward and Naoto suggested leaving. Takemichi wondered if Hinata still loved him, but Naoto left for backup and Takemichi feared he missed his chance. Hinata revealed she hadn't forgotten him and was hurt by his past actions. Inspired, Takemichi decided to change and ask her out. He rushed to Naoto's car just before it was hit. After Akan's car exploded, Takemichi confessed his love, but the vehicle exploded, swearing to save Hinata and become Tomen's top member. At Hinata's funeral, Takemichi reflected on their final moments and shed a tear. Hinata's mother gave him her necklace, believing Hinata must have loved him. Takemichi cried. Naoto later revealed that Atsushi had been forced to kill Hinata for his family's sake. Takemichi vowed to become Tomen's leader and destroy the gang, and though Naoto laughed, he appreciated Takemichi's determination. Takemichi visited Ken in the Tokyo Detention Center, where Ken, on death row, was relieved to see him. Takemichi learned Ken was on death row and asked about Tomen. Ken blamed himself for not stopping that one guy and reflected on Tomen's past, saying he would still kill Kisaki. He mourned Takemichi to leave Tokyo for safety and explained Kizaki's hatred for Manjiro. At Naoto's apartment, Takemichi vowed to stop Kizaki and become Tomen's leader. Naoto trusted him to fix the future. Takemichi planned to take Pachin's place as captain. Returning to the past, Takemichi met Manjiro at a bathhouse, and after some playful banter, Mikey told him they were nominating a new 3rd Division captain. Ken announces Tada Kisaki as the new 3rd Division captain, shocking Takemichi. Some members protest, but Ken silences them and Manjiro supports Kizaki's position, stating Tomen must grow to face Valhalla. Concerned for Hinata, Takemichi punches Kisaki, provoking anger from the captains. Baji steps up to attack, but is stopped by Mitsuya. Baji quits as 1st Division captain and joins Valhalla. Tada challenges Takemichi and after a brief exchange, knocks him out. Takemichi wakes up with Manjiro, who discusses the challenges of growing Tomen and how Kisuk, a founding member, used to pick fights with him. Manjiro asks Takemichi to bring Kisuk back from Valhalla. Takemichi agrees but demands Kisaki be kicked out, fearing he'll ruin Tomen. Manjiro agrees, warning of death if Takemichi fails. He announces Takemichi as the new 2nd Division member. Takemichi finds a charm and a photo of Tomen's founders, including an unfamiliar 6th person. Meanwhile, Kisuke meets Kazutora. The next day, Takemichi wonders how to bring Kisuk back. Atsushi and others express interest in joining Tomen, but Takemichi warns them of the danger, as Manjiro will kill him if Kisuk doesn't return. Kazushi explains that Tomen has 100 members, led by Manjiro and Ken, with divisions. After Pachin's arrest, Pian joined the 2nd Division and Tada Kisaki, former Mobius leader, became the 3rd Division captain. Mobius disbanded and Tada grew Tomen to 150. Kazushi mentions that Mobius members joined Shuji Hema's Valhalla, which is now 300 strong. Kazutora takes Takemichi to Valhalla's hideout, showing 2 injured Kohai. Takemichi hopes to meet Kisuk. Kazutora reveals he briefly attended school before Juvie. At an abandoned game center, Takemichi feels the atmosphere is different from Tomen. Inside, he finds Kisuk beating someone. Shuji explains that Kisuk wants to join Valhalla to help defeat Tomen. Takemichi learns of Kisuk's betrayal and discovers Kazutora's grudge against Tomen, recalling a pivotal incident in 2003. In 2003, the Tokyo Manji gang rides, but Manjiro's slow moped makes them wait. An older gang mocks them and tries to damage Manjiro's moped, but Manjiro warns he'll kill them if it's scratched, scaring them off. Ken and the others blame Manjiro. Manjiro runs out of gas and Ken blames him for not preparing. They decide to wait at the beach, and Manjiro suggests rock, paper, scissors to determine who'll get gas. Kizuke loses and heads out while the others race. Kazutora notices Manjiro's absence. Kizuke re-encounters the gang who try to destroy the moped. He protects it and Manjiro appears, kicking his moped and confronting the gang. On August 13, 2003, Kazutora and Kizuke plan to steal a CB250 T-bike for Manjiro's birthday. They break in, but the owner, Shinichiro, appears. Kazutora panics and hits him. Kizuke calls an ambulance, but they flee when sirens sound. The police arrest them and Kizuke apologizes while Kazutora blames Manjiro. Kizuke explains that Kazutora defended him from juvie and that he's been waiting for his release. Shuji accepts him into Valhalla, gives him a jacket, and instructs Takemichi to inform Manjiro about the Toman Valhalla fight on October 31st. Takemichi reflects on the upcoming battle and the difficulty of saving Kizuke. The next day, Chifuyu Matsuno, 1st Division Vice Captain, tells Takemichi that Kizuke joined Valhalla to expose Tada Kisaki, not to fight Toman. Takemichi and Chifuyu meet Manjiro and Ken at Shinichiro's grave. Manjiro forgives Kizuke, but not Kazutora, for killing his brother. Takemichi declares he wants to lead Toman and earn Manjiro's acknowledgement. Chifuyu agrees to help if Takemichi assists with Tada, and they shake on it. Chifuyu and Takemichi visit Nobutaka Osane, who reveals Tada's manipulation to take over Tokyo. In the present, Takemichi learns from Ken that Valhalla was created for Manjiro and Toman, lost on Bloody Halloween because Manjiro killed Kazutora. Ken reveals that Manjiro was not caught for Kazutora's death because Tada framed someone else. Manjiro then led Toman into Valhalla's trap. Takemichi struggles to believe Manjiro could kill, but Ken challenges him, asking if he would have acted differently if Kazutora had killed his brother and Kizuke. Takemichi resolves to save Kizuke, thinking it will prevent Manjiro from killing Kazutora and ruining Tada's plan. They shake hands and Takemichi returns to the past. Hinata gives Takemichi a matching clover medallion, reminding him of its meaning, and he thanks her tearfully. Ken contacts Kazutora, urging him to stop the fight. Kazutora, now changed, rejects Toman and vows to destroy them. Chifuyu brings Takemichi to Kizuke a day before the battle, who warns that Tada is dangerous and vows to kill Manjiro. At the Toman meeting, Manjiro calls for the group to fight to bring Kizuke back. The battle begins and the two gangs clash in a deadly showdown. The Toman vs. Valhalla battle erupts, with Toman's top members leading the charge. Takemichi, searching for Kizuke, is forced into a fight. Kazutora attacks Manjiro, but Ken intervenes and Shuji Hama steps in to face Ken. Takemichi struggles but is saved by Takashi, who scolds him. Motivated by Chifuyu's encouragement and the memory of Hinata's death, Takemichi presses on. Takashi informs Ken that Valhalla holds the advantage. Ken protects a weak Toman member before witnessing Takemichi's charge at Valhalla, inspiring the others. Ken shifts to offense, taking down numerous foes and knocks Shuji flying with a single punch. Manjiro follows Kazutora to a pile of cars where Chombo and Chom attack him. Kazutora reveals they're the strongest fighters from Juvie, and Chom soon realizes Manjiro's true strength. Kazutora lures Manjiro onto the unstable ground and, with the others restraining him, strikes him with a pipe. Everyone believes Manjiro is down, but he gets up, recalling Kazutora's past words, and fights back, headbutting Chom and kicking Kazutora down. Mikey knocks out Kazutora, Chom, and Chombo, but collapses from exhaustion. As Valhalla members close in, Takemichi, seeing no one else step in, rushes to Manjiro's side. When Valhalla Captain Choji approaches, Tada Kisaki steps in, knocking him out and announcing that his division will protect Manjiro. Tada's move earns praise from Toman, and Takemichi realizes that Tada wins either way. Kizubaji attacks Tada with a pipe, but Hamada knocks him down. Tada orders Kizuke's death, but Chifuyu intervenes, refusing to move despite Kizuke's command. Kizuke gives Chifuyu 10 seconds to act, but he does nothing. Takemichi, in desperation, charges at Kizuke, holding him and begging for protection. Chifuyu, in tears, cannot stop him. Suddenly, Kazutora stabs Kizuke. Takemichi pushes Kazutora away and checks on Kizuke, who insists it's just a scratch. Chifuyu, blaming Kizuke, attacks Kazutora. Takemichi vows to take down Tada and become Toman's leader. Alone against 50 of the 3rd Division, Kizuke takes down Hamada and points a pipe at Tada before collapsing and coughing up blood. Kizuke collapses from his injury, and Takemichi realizes Kazutora inflicted a severe wound. Tada hints that Kazutora brought Kizuke to Valhalla to finish him off, provoking Manjiro. Manjiro recalls nearly killing Kazutora after Juvie, stopped only by Kizuke. He declares the fight over, knocking out Shuji and causing Valhalla to retreat. Manjiro beats Kazutora, but Takemichi realizes nothing has changed. In a desperate moment, Kazutora stabs Kisuke, recalling his hatred for Manjiro but remembering Kisuke's promise. Kisuke rises, thanks Manjiro, and walks past him, stabbing himself to reassure Kazutora. As Kisuke dies, he asks Takemichi and Shifuyu to care for Tomen. Manjiro continues attacking Kazutora, but Takemichi steps in, determined to stop him. Despite being punched, Takemichi insists Kisuke sacrificed himself for both. A charm falls from his jacket, causing Manjiro to recall their past in Tomen. On June 13, 2003, Manjiro and Kisuke stop at a red light where a gang claimed their bikes were the best. Pachin challenged them to a race, and while Manjiro fell asleep during it, Kisuke finished last, carrying him to the shrine. Manjiro inquired about the black dragons there, and Kazutora revealed he fought them alone. Manjiro suggested facing them, but Kisuke proposed forming their gang, which they named Tokyo Manjiro Gang or Tomen. After pooling their money, they assigned positions and bought a charm which Manjiro gave to Kisuke as a symbol of their gang's bond. As police approached, Kazutora stayed behind with Kisuke and took responsibility, leading to Tomen's victory, but Kazutora was arrested. This event marked the Bloody Halloween. Shifuyu visited Kisuke's grave 2 weeks later, reflecting on their friendship. He recalled meeting 12-year-old Kisuke, initially seeing him as a delinquent but soon realized he was studious. After Kisuke saved Shifuyu from a gang, he decided to follow him. Takemichi and Ken visit Kazutora at the juvenile detention center. Ken delivers Manjiro's message. Kazutora is forgiven and still part of Tomen. Ken informs Takemichi that Manjiro wants to talk at the next gang meeting, prompting Takemichi to reflect on the events and whether they are enough to stop Tada Kisaki. Ken takes Takemichi to his home, a brothel, and explains his upbringing there. In Ken's room, he thanks Takemichi for stopping Manjiro from killing Kazutora. Takemichi sees Emma hugging Manjiro and worries about Ken finding out. Hinata joins him and they follow Emma, suspecting she's two-timing Ken. Kazushi confirms Emma has been seen leaving Manjiro's house. Ken then reveals Emma and Manjiro are siblings, surprising Takemichi and Hinata. Ken gives Emma a birthday gift before they leave. Takemichi receives a call from Takashi. The next day, Pian meets Takemichi, saying Takashi is busy but will show him around. He takes him to the home ec room where Takashi runs a sewing club. Takemichi is surprised to learn Takashi is making a jacket for him. At Tonen's gathering, Takemichi receives his new Tomen jacket. Ken warns him about the important meeting, and Manjiro arrives with Shuji Hama and Shifuyu Matsuno. Tomen wonders about Shuji Hama's presence as Manjiro announces their victory over Valhalla. Shuji reveals they will now join Tomen, while Takemichi fears Kizaki's influence will worsen the future. Manjiro mourns Baji's loss, and Shifuyu names Takemichi 1st Division Captain, believing Kisuke wanted. Takemichi accepts. Takemichi notices his new look and is confused when a man informs him they're heading to his apartment. Unable to reach Naoto, Takemichi is greeted by Kazushi, Makoto, and Takuya. Kazushi explained the delay was due to Takemichi's DVE stop. Inside the building, Takemichi wonders if he's in a better future. Shifuyu mentions an upper echelon meeting where Takemichi recognizes members like Pachin, Yasuhiro Muto, and Hajime Kokonoan. Tensions rise between the old and new members, with Inui claiming the younger ones bring money. Shifuyu notes their ex-Black Dragon. Shuji hints at a traitor, and the meeting is interrupted by Tada Kisaki, who admits to orchestrating Kisuke's death and the Bloody Halloween. He apologizes but confesses to using Kazutora. After drinking, Takemichi loses consciousness. Waking up tied to a chair, Takemichi and Shifuyu are confronted by Tada. Shifuyu admits his responsibility and asks Takemichi to carry on Kisuke's legacy before Tada kills him. Takemichi, devastated, cries as Tada shoots him.